Hey y'all, welcome back. Today's video we're completing the skid plate trilogy. We're going to be putting on the third and final skid plate, the transfer case skid plate. If you're following along, I made a part 1 video of the first 2 skids. I delayed on the last one, the transfer skid, because I wasn't sure if I was going to flatten out the belly and do the exhaust recirculation, but I decided to just keep everything stock and just buy the one that is OEM. So yeah, it divots a little bit, it hangs a little lower to the ground, but you know, I'm not doing any rock crawling, so I decided to just buy the regular cutout one for the OEM exhaust. So I pretty much prepped and painted it the way I did with the first 2 skid plates. I'll put the link in the description below, and if you're curious about that process, you can take a look at that. But today we're just going to be installing it. I'm not exactly sure how to mount it, but we'll figure it out as we go. Now we're going to weigh the bar. $10.2. Alright y'all, we're going to weigh the plate next. Okay. 32.4. Here's all the hardware that came with it. I think we'll figure it out. There's one funny looking washer. Alright, first off, we're going to take off these 4 nuts. They're right on the back side of the middle skid plate. Right on the cross member. Alright, took these 2 off right here. Let's go on the other side.
Use a wrench to hold on to the back side of the bolt if needed.
I think it's pretty optional whether or not you want to use the OEM bolt versus the one that came in the kit. They both seem pretty heavy duty. One's a little shorter. The original is a little shorter than the one that's supplied. I'm going to try to see if I could just use these OEM ones. If not, I'll switch them later. So back to the driver's side here where the brakes are. I'm probably gonna undo this bolt. After mocking it up, I think this side is gonna actually use this bolt, or at least this bolt hole, to hold on to the driver's side here. And then that bolt I was talking about that holds the frame cap is right above it. Back to the passenger side here. I think we're gonna have to take off this sticker. I think it's just a sticker. And behind it's gonna reveal a hole. I'm pretty sure that's where the nut and bolt are gonna go that holds the new beam or the new cross member together. Let's figure it out. I think this is probably gonna be the easiest way to put this together and then up into the truck is just put it together out here first. So you're going to use the supplied hardware, the bolt and a washer that came with it. There's going to be 3 of them. And these are nylock nuts, so they should be self-securing. All right, we're gonna tighten them up. if you look at the orientation of the holes that's gonna bolt to the frame, I think this is how it's gonna sit. So this is gonna be the front part of the skid, the rear here, and it sits in this channel. And yeah, these holes are gonna be pointing towards the front of the truck, if that makes sense. Now you should be left with one extra bolt, 2 washers, and a nut, a nylock nut. This, I believe, is gonna go on the passenger side to sandwich the frame here and the cross member on this side. All right, so here we are. I've got it all mocked into place. It's hanging on the 4 bolts in the front. I haven't tightened it. The cross members, both the bolts are in. I still haven't tightened it. And these 3 in the rear, that's what it looks like. Those are tightened. Here's the problem right now. This thing is hanging down by a good 1.5 inches or so. You can imagine if you traverse over anything, this is where you're gonna get caught up right here. Here's a good shot of the clearance from the OEM exhaust. Again, I did not do the exhaust relocation. This thing looks pretty ugly in my opinion. I don't know what I'm gonna do in this case. I'm gonna sit on it for a little bit. Alright, after thinking about it, here are my thoughts. In order to make this a little bit more flush against each other, on a mid skid there are these 3 options up here. The top one here, the middle, and the bottom one, which is the one I'm using, again, of the mid skid. If I dropped the mid skid down, so use the top hole up here and put it through this bolt, and then cinch these two, sandwich these two together, it's more than likely not gonna fit well over here at where the first and the second skid plate meet together. Now, my previous video, I decided to go with this bottom-most hole to mount with for a reason, and that was because of the front, to make the front fit much more snug and more flush. So if I mess around with this between these 2 skids, I'm going to be affecting how it fits there in front. So I think I'm going to have to live with this thing hanging down like this. I'm not going to like it, but that's what we have to deal with, and I'm out hundreds of bucks already, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cinch everything back up, and we'll see how it rides. We'll see how it goes. So remember these long bolts that came in the kit, grade 8 hardware. I think I'm just gonna reuse these guys, the OEM ones. As you can see there, there's plenty of thread right there for a nut to bite on, so I'm just gonna reuse that for ease. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wrestle with the mid skid and do everything all over again. I think these will hold up just fine. Plenty of thread to bite on. Okay, I'm gonna tighten that up. Again, that's the one remaining grade 8 bolt, one of the shorter ones that goes right through that hole where this is the passenger side. Goes right through that hole that we exposed from that little sticker. And then on the back side of this frame where it starts to close up, you put a nut back there. So 2 wrenches one on either side, and tighten that up. On this side, you can see we're reusing the brake bracket bolt here to hold it in. I'm gonna try my best to not cross thread it because it's not fit 100%. to my liking, so you gotta really try to finesse this so you don't cross thread it. Alright, here's what I'm ending up doing to make it fit better. I actually put the brake bracket in first, so it's sandwiched in between the frame and the cross member here. That seems to make it fit much better. And there's clearance behind it to allow that. So this is the passenger side. Get two 14mm wrenches and start cranking at it. Don't forget to go through and tighten up these bolts. Again, I'm reusing the OEM ones. I'm not using the ones that came in the kit. So these are, again, 14mm nuts and bolts as well. Alright, just finished tightening up all the 4 bolts. Again, the OEM bolts and nuts here at the cross member, the transmission cross member seem to work fine. There's plenty of thread to be able to have the nut bite down on. Another major topic that I want to talk about and actually show you is catalytic converter theft and prevention. A lot of people on the forums and on Facebook talk about whether or not skid plates block the catalytic converters, and these are the lower cats. This is on the driver's side. It's basically the same thing on the passenger side. So as you can see here, there's a big gap here that I would think it would probably fit here rather easily. OEM wise, there's a they call it a catalytic converter kind of anti-theft bar that comes through here that I took out to install this mid-skid. So anyways, this is what we're left with the Mobtown. I can't speak on the other skid plates, but with this one, if the thief wanted it, they would easily expose right here on the front part of the catalytic converter. And on the rear, it's a little tighter, but if they really wanted it, they would be able to have access to this. The rear part of the cat here saws all that off, and off they go with that. So without any custom alterations to the skid plate, I would say this is not anti-theft. It's not going to cover up your catalytic converter. If you are good at welding and customizing, I'm sure you can fix something up right here. Just a little bar or a little plate right here extra welded on would do the trick. But yeah, as far as just bolting, this is not gonna do it, so I would look elsewhere. So here is a side profile of the Mobtown Offroad Skids. I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed. This thing hangs down pretty darn low. This is probably going to be the culprit of if I was going to get hung up somewhere. And you're probably going to say I should have done the exhaust reroute. Yeah, that was an option. Or I might just take this thing off and just go without it. I don't know. Here's what it looks like in the rear, from the rear, and from the front. Here's what it looks like. So in summary, putting these Mobtown Offroad steel skid plates on is a pain in the... They don't fit the best. I'm kind of disappointed in fitment. The third skid plate, the transfer case skid plate, hanging down pretty low. So don't expect any more or any better than that. As far as install goes, have a second person with you if you can. I did it solo. I did everything myself, and it's doable yourself, but it is difficult, and that's probably just not Mobtown. It's any sort of steel skid plate, and you're working under there and it's awkward. So yeah, best to have someone with you. As far as function, I'm sure they're gonna do just fine. They are beefy as heck. They're gonna take a beating, and you should have a lot of fun with them. So maybe I'll do a long-term review down the road, but for now this is what we're gonna run with. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.